When you hear the name Minkey Issacs, you probably think about the PLP, right? Well, there's so much more to the man, and in this edition of Legends, we talk about family, community, and the church. Welcome to our program. My special guest today is someone you probably know, but I bet there's a lot about him you don't know. Arrington Minkey Issacs, welcome to Legends.
Thank you very much. A pleasure to be here.
Who is Arrington Minkey Issacs? I bet you a lot of people don't even know that your name is Arrington.
No, they don't. I am just the only boy, or the only son of my parents, Robert Issacs and Eddie Issacs. I'm a twin. I had to come in with my sister, I guess. I grew up in the pond, and with what they call the white ground, that's Canaan Lane. I grew up there with the family. We were close-knit, you know, the Hylers, so they were daddy's sister, Sammy Issacs, his kids, we were all Minkey Issacs, Derek Issacs, and those, we were all one family. And we were bonded by our grandparents, who were Hannahs. Dame Bertha Issacs, Nora Hannah, Gwendolyn Hannah, and Maud Johnson. You know, they molded us up. We grew up in St. Matthew's Church, in the pond. That's who I am, just me.
And let's talk about St. Matthew's Church and how important it is in your life and was as you were growing up.
That St. Matthew's was our foundation. We learned to the bond of family, being family and loving one another and caring not only for family, but each other, was grounded in St. Matthew's Church. Christmas time, we would, with our grandparents, drive them around giving out parcels of food to the needy. And they were doing that before it became really known today. But my grandparents, especially Dame Bertha Issacs, Nora Hannah, Maud Johnson, they were doing that from day one.
Because communities come out of the church, eh? And I know a little bit about the pond because my family is from there too, but talk about how special that area was and the people who came out of there and all these people that helped to make you who you are.
The pond was a family like a village. It really was like a village. And what used to tickle us, if we do wrong at one end of the pond, no phones now. Before we get home, they already know that we used to throw rock at the almond tree or the hog plum tree. And you know, we were taught rocks don't have any eye, don't throw stones. True. All right? Well, we used to throw stones. Well, I did one time and it hit the roof of Mrs. Bosfield's little shop. And Lordy, we ran, all right? Got home. You know how your grandparents go, they ain't said nothing right away. When she get near me, she grabbed me. Didn't I tell you stones don't have eyes? What you doing throwing rock at Mrs. Bosfield hog plum tree? Boy, and while she speaking, she hitting. And she used to play tennis. So you know her hands were hard. And even other people in the pond were allowed to chastise us or even to beat us if need be.
Let's talk about your immediate family because your mother, of course, first woman financial secretary in the Bahamas, eh?
Yeah, Eddie.
An outstanding person, and you just told me that she was responsible for helping form the Bahamas Development Bank, huh?
Right, she was.
What was she like as a disciplinarian?
She wasn't with me, as the only boy. Well, you can imagine. Daddy was the one who did most of the cut behind, you know. And I laugh. I hear them talking about child abuse today. I say, boy, if they had that when we were growing up, our parents and grandparents had been locked up a long time. But it helped mold us into what we are today.
Brings you some discipline, right?
Yeah, especially me. I needed discipline.
You think that's the problem that we're seeing in the Bahamas today, a lack of discipline?
Oh yeah, discipline begins at home. Don't wait for the school or the teacher to do it. It begins at home. My 5 children can tell you that as well. It begins at home.
So you were a very serious disciplinarian?
If I'm a what?
You were a serious
Oh yeah,
disciplinarian?
very serious disciplinarian. Oh yeah. That's what instilled in me through my father.
Now your dad is a really good, an outstanding sportsman.
Yeah.
Which is also discipline again. So, Lord, I guess if you got 5 kids, though, you got to have order in the house, eh?
Sports teaches you discipline. That's why, and we were always a sports family. And it also taught us teamwork. Basketball, softball, it teaches you teamwork, and that helps you as you mature and grow in life.
Now you just let something out when you talk about your own kids. How many children do you have?
5.
Wow.
I have 5.
3 girls, 2 boys?
Yeah, 3 girls, 2 boys.
How's it different parenting a girl than a son?
It's easy for me. I hold no beef. I treat them all, love them all, and treat them all. I try my best to treat them all the same way, which I think I succeeded in doing. And my mother, yeah, you mentioned her. She always stressed to us growing up, education. She always said, once you have it in your brain, no one can take it from you. And I'm proud that my 5 kids all went to university. 3 of them have master's degrees. And now my grands are the same way. They all now, their parents are making sure they get a college degree. My eldest daughter, she's a doctor now. My eldest granddaughter, sorry, is a doctor now. All my grandchildren, they're following that thing of their grandmother.
I want you to talk more about your role in St. Matthew's Church now, because if you go to St. Matthew's Church, they can see you up there doing what you have to do.
Well, in St. Matthew's, I am a lay reader, a chalice bearer, and a member of the vestry. I kind of fill in the role when I assist priests as best I can, doing my best for St. Matthew's and our surrounding area.
And St. Matthew's, if people don't know, is the oldest church in this country.
Yeah, the oldest church.
I mean, at least in New Providence.
Yeah, in New Providence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And I love it. I love the church. I love the people in the church. And they all know my politics. That does not interfere with my doings in the church.
Well, actually, your political background might help you be stronger in the church, because they don't like church politics. Eh?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's true. Church politics, worse than regular politics.
You know, like my father told me, he said, boy, if you get on the vestry,
yeah,
that's a real calling. That's a real calling.
Yeah, and I've been on the vestry for a little while. And I used to be on the Senate, but I turned it down this time for a younger time now for the younger ones to step up.
Transitioning. Well, we're speaking with Minkey Issacs and letting you know what actually helped to build him as a man. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about him, his career in aviation, and then, of course, politics. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, if you know a little about Minkey Issacs, you will know that aviation is a great part of his life. How did that start? What got you fascinated with it?
My mother used to work for BOAC, British, it was BOAC, and they had Bahamas Airways. Right. She was assistant airport manager. She used to go away on courses, and she would bring back these model planes for me. And that's my love. That's how I started loving aviation. I'd put all these models, and I was meticulous. I would make sure everything in order, the decals where they're supposed to be. And I got interested in aviation.
Were you a bit of a plane spotter, like go to the end of the runway and just wait to see the planes take off and land?
Yeah, no, they used to be in Oaks Field.
Right.
Marquee Airlines and all that used to be where the, right across from where the monument is now, used to be the terminal. Right. And they had a little veranda. You could walk around and see the planes land. I used to go right there and watch them. Wow. Interesting, my father wanted me to be a lawyer. He said, man, you got this brain. You're smart. You want to be a lawyer. So I listened to him. Then my mother noticed I was sulking. Say what happened.
That ain't your real heart, hey?
I said, Mom, I cannot see myself in no suit with no white wig on my head.
Or long pants for that matter.
I said, that's not for me. What you want to be? I want to be a pilot. She says, but you got to wear a uniform. I say, no, I want to be a bush pilot. She said, you going to Canada? I say, no, Mom, I want to fly the Bahama Islands. That's what I want to do. I want people to come in and say, I want to go to this island today. I don't want a set schedule. That's not my life. That's not what I like. And that's how I got into aviation.
Let's talk about, because I mean, if you're in any plane in this country, when you're flying in it as a passenger, it's awesome. But talk about what this country looks like from the cockpit.
Beautiful. It's especially after the cold front goes through, and it's so beautiful. The higher you go, you can see the wonderful chain of islands that we have. A wonderful flying the Bahama Islands. I flew Colorado. I flew in Colorado. I flew in Wichita, Kansas, but nothing like flying the Bahama Islands.
Now, we'll start talking about what people know you as probably, more predominantly. And that is as part of the Progressive Liberal Party. You are Chairman Emeritus of the Progressive Liberal Party. But what sparked your interest in political, and I guess it would have been social activism at the time too?
It was in the family. My grandmother, Dame Bertha Issacs, everybody knows so. I was fighting for the suffrage movement in the PLP. Her sister, Nora Hanna, was the first treasurer of the PLP in the eastern area. I remember now, Milton Taylor used to live right off of Shirley Street, right before you get to Ball's Alley, on the northern side of the street. And she used to keep the funds for the PLP. My uncle Sammy Issacs ran and won in the east. So I was ingrained in politics. I remember my first incident, campaigning, was when I was 9 years old, with my grandmother, Dame Issacs, Georgiana Simonet, and Uncle Beryl, and Beryl Hanna.
Those some heavy names you're calling there.
We were campaigning where Uriah McPhee is now. They were wooden houses where you could put the jack under them and move them from one lot to another place. And we were campaigning in there. And I remember that well.
Tell me something, let's talk about campaigning. Obviously it's changed drastically, particularly with social media. You had to do a lot of, and on the ground of course is still very important, but do you think it was easier campaigning, let's say in the 60s, 70s, than it is like say in 2025?
Well, the population has changed. Today they're more educated. So you have the venue you just mentioned, social media, TV and all that, but the basic formula still remains the same. People to people. You have to go out and meet the people face to face. They gotta touch you, feel you, know who you are. Now remember now, the greatest politician was Jesus Christ. And what did he do?
He was with people.
He went from town to town meeting people. That's the basis of politics today.
It's got to be about humanity.
It's got to be about the human touch. That's what we call it. Really. No matter how many TV ads or what you might have, they want to see you and touch you.
So you have been actively involved in politics for 6+ decades, right? But always, I wouldn't say behind the scenes because you were always visible, but never decided to run, never wanted to run?
No.
Why?
I never wanted to run. I felt that I could do more. Well, first of all, I don't like limelight. As a person, I don't like being in the limelight.
Yeah, you're basically shy, aren't you? You're basically shy, aren't
Yeah,
you?
basically.
And I know people can't believe that, but you are.
Yeah, you notice you don't see me running with anybody or going out with anywhere. I rather stay by myself. I don't have the patience to be in the house to listen to some of the foolishness to start out with. Okay, because I get up and slap you and I go on. Okay, I don't have, but I believe and I felt that I could do a better part for my organization, the PLP, by working in the background, doing what I'm doing now.
And it does take all kinds, eh?
Yeah, it takes all kinds.
I got to ask you this before we go on, though. The shorts. You're kind of iconic for your shorts. Do you even own a pair of long pants?
Many years ago, I used to, but I found, being around the airport is always hot. Right. And the long pants, I started, just didn't feel comfortable. I said, now wait a minute now, we're in the Bahamas. It can be hot mostly all year round. I don't need these long pants anymore. So I got rid of them. I started wearing short pants. And it's a good thing too. I work for myself. I never work for anybody, so, it wasn't no problem telling me what I must wear coming to work.
Before we go to the next break, I want you to tell me, out of all of your experiences in the political arena, what is the one that stands out most to you?
When I met and had a wonderful chat with the Prime Minister, Sir Lyndon, and Nelson Mandela. We had the
same room with those two men.
The same room with those two men.
This would have been Chatham, 1985?
No, this is when he, right after he, in 19...
Sure, it couldn't have been 85 because he was still in prison.
1993, when he came out. Remember, he came to the Bahamas. Right. The FNM was in power, but we met at Sir Lyndon's house. And we had a wonderful 45-minute talk. Wow. Mandela.
So that's still very vivid in your mind.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, when we come back, I want you to talk about, real Bahamianism and nationality and where we need to go from your mind as a country, beyond politics, just like pure nationalism. Stay with us. We're speaking with Minkey Issacs. We'll have more right after this. Welcome back. Minkey Issacs is our special guest on Legends. And let's talk about the Bahamas and where we are now, Minkey. We've really achieved quite a lot for a young nation, right? But of course, you get to a certain point, you have growing pains. America's 200 plus years and they got growing pains. Yeah. What have we done right? And what do we need to look at again, you think? I'm not talking politically, I'm talking...
Culture. I think we copy other people's culture instead of promoting our own. Junkanoo. Junkanoo today is not what I believe is Junkanoo should be. It's more carnival today than Junkanoo. And Bahamians, we aren't carnival, we are Junkanoo. Where we could hit that music, we could dance with it, that's beat that drum and all that, we could dance with.
And it's something to be immensely proud of. And usually when you hear Junkanoo music, everybody up and dancing. Yeah. But to me, what I like about Junkanoo is that you just feel that primitiveness, if you will, that essence of your soul. Yeah. When those beats, those drums go through your heart,
right?
Come on.
And another thing too.
And you used to rush.
Oh yeah, I used to rush now, most qualified. I used to beat the drum and I love that. But that's when we used to go up Bay Street one way, come down Bay Street the next way. And you try and outdo the group you coming up with, you try and outdo them. You make sure, heat those drums good. We got to drown them out. We used to do, then when they went around, we used to do 3 laps. 1, 2, not no one lap is Bay Street and the next lap is Shirley Street. We used to do 1 complete lap. Because the costumes were agile, you can move with them, not these stiff things they got today. The generators weren't allowed. The wheels weren't allowed at that time, Only they just came back with that now.
And, people will argue and say, we have to advance, we got to move it forward.
But don't lose the
essence.
Anything, and this argument that I have with other things as well. If I produce something in the Bahamas, it isn't well received. But let us say you come from the US, they run for it. Mind you, it all starting from the same place, That's the problem we have today. We believe if it isn't from the US, it isn't any good.
So would you say then that really we have to really look at what we have and tap into it.
And appreciate it.
And appreciate it and
Yes.
take advantage of it before anybody else
What
does.
anybody else does. You know, we're sitting on a gold mine, but we rather made in the U.S. Mind you, see that, but when you look at the need, it made in Taiwan or Japan or China. Okay? So what's the big deal? Go get it direct yourself. But we so programmed that we got to say made in the U.S. It got to come from the U.S. for us to appreciate it.
Because if it doesn't, it's less than.
Yeah, it's less than.
How do you change that mindset, though? How do you get people
Education. Education. That's why you got to keep stressing education and promotion of our own. Bahamians don't accept their own as quickly as they accept a foreigner.
You know, and I wish I could say that you're wrong, but you're right.
I
And
experienced that in India.
I think we all know that.
Yeah. They will accept they'll accept a foreigner's word quicker than they accept my word or your word or Bahamian word. And that's how the white fellas program us. Now we got to deprogram ourselves to be Bahamian.
It's definitely self-perpetuating, that system of colonialism, eh?
Yep.
What do you want to see as the country moves on? Let's say we're at 50-something years now. We will not be here, but
No.
what would your vision be for Bahamas
I want
on its 100th birthday, let's say?
As you progress, crime comes with it. We need to educate our people to respect one another. When we were little, we see a gun, we run. There has to be a better system of bordering or of controlling our borders. Sometimes we're so intent on getting visitors in. We neglect what they bringing in, and we get lax on how we allow them to come in. For example, you go to the airport and you watch visitors come in and the Bahamians come in. The visitors could walk just about right straight through customs and immigration, no problem. I coming in with 2 bags, I got to stop. They got check me straight through. That happened when I came back from my operation in the Cayman Islands last year. I in the wheelchair. All right, what I bringing in? I had to empty all of my bags with the customs lady that night. I did it. I only laugh. I said, now if I was a foreigner sitting in a wheelchair going through, there'd been no problem. Okay, that's the kind of thing we're still up against. And that's what's happening with our borders. We got to be more vigilant in who we bring in and to check their luggages.
Now, I know you had a procedure, because other people who know you would know that 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, Minkey Issacs walking all over the place, getting his miles in. Should be back there fairly soon?
I'm back there now. I do 2 miles this morning. I left 4:15. I do 2 miles now. I'm slowly building back up my hips and the muscles around my hips and my stamina. Okay? But not on Thursday mornings. That's my mass morning. And not on Sunday mornings. That's my church mornings as well. Okay?
And you don't miss?
No, I try not to.
You're a 10:30 man or a 7 a.m. man on Sunday? You go to both masses?
I go to both. Like 7:15, 10:30, and then even song in the evening.
Wow. Yeah, that's one of my favorite masses, even song, actually.
Yeah.
Very special.
And we have one mass. I go to the 6 o'clock mass on Thursday mornings.
Mm-hmm. What I was going to get onto about talking about, people say, oh, we got to go back to the old things. Obviously, that's not going to happen.
No.
But what is amazing, and I know you see this, for me, being Bahamian means that I don't know you, I walk past you and I say good morning, and didn't realize that I say good morning because it's supposed to be such a natural thing. Yeah. And particularly these young people, they don't even look at you.
No, that's part of the educational process that begins at home. I couldn't walk and don't speak to older people. That's a banging, that's a beating that we get. But that was instilled in us. So the parents have to instill that same type of respect into their children today, but they don't.
Let's talk about the role of the Bahamian man these days. I mean, there are a lot of things that I see that really are heartbreaking. Men asking men they don't know for money. Everyone's got this sort of bummish mentality. it's going to take a lot of effort to try and change that. You think we've lost a generation?
I never believe we have lost a generation. I think that they might have lost the work ethic. Some of them might have, because when they come to me, they need this or they need that. I say, all right, wash my truck. They gone. Okay.
They want the money, but they
They
don't
want
want
the money, but they want a job, but they don't want to work.
That's something we really got to focus on, because you can't build a nation like that. And we are at a critical stage in our development, don't you think?
I think we are, but I always believe we're not lost. I am proud of my children and grandchildren. I'm sure there are others who feel the same way. And education is the key, like I have always said. Education is the key.
And what's so obvious, too, is the level of talent we have in this country. And people who are very diverse, doing a lot of different things. We have an astronaut going up very soon. So we really could do anything we want to do. Hey.
But do we advertise it? Do we brag about it? We don't. We don't brag. We brag about the bad fellow who getting killed here and there and everywhere, but we don't brag about the good some of our people are doing, and that's that's the hard. We as the people like to hear bad news. We don't like good news. Bad news sells. Good news don't sell.
No, that's true.
Look at the headlines every paper every day. Everything negative. Negativity sells papers, and that's the problem we have.
Well, we're going to come back. We have a final segment. I'm going to give you, I'm going to ask you a question when we come back. We're speaking with Minkey Issacs, our guest on Legends. Stay with us. Welcome back. Minkey Issacs, you've given people, I think, a different look at who you are. I'm sure some people would be surprised to know some of the things you've said. But I'm going to ask you this final question. What is it that you would like for me and the Bahamian public to know about you that I didn't ask you?
That's hard. Just that I'm me. I'm a simple fella, keep to myself. I don't like to be bothered with the trappings. I don't like nobody to honor me. I don't. I'm here to try and do what Christ said we must do, uplift others. Like Mitch Han always said, dry, wipe a tear from every eye. In my way, I'd like just to do that. And you mentioned something earlier about crime. Let me say this, and I'm a churchman, but I'm going to say this. What discourages most people with the church is that the argument that goes on among the pastors in the different churches. How can I come to you for forgiveness if you can't forgive your brother? Rather, what you would do, you go and leave and start another church. That doesn't look good among God's supposed to be God's men who's supposed to preach the gospel and teach peace and reconciliation. How can I reconcile you if I can't reconcile myself to my brother priest or my brother pastor? And that's a problem we have as well. People look at that and say, why should I come in the church and the church can't get themselves together? Look around you and you see what I'm talking about. The Methodists fighting. If the Baptist fella don't get along with his co-priest, he can leave and form another church.
And then we got our little things going on in the
Anglican
church too.
Well, we have that. But we united now because, when we die, wherever we go, we are not asked, what denomination are you? Jesus Christ and God wants to know what we did to uplift mankind as a whole. Not if you are Anglican or Presbyterian or Methodist or Baptist. What have you done to uplift mankind?
And the real mark of that is, not by publicizing it, is by the lives that you've impacted.
Right. That's how you do it.
And I'm sure you've impacted many lives in this.
Well, I hope I did. In my own humble way, I really hope I did. All right.
Minkey Issacs, it's great to have you on Legends.
Thank you very much.
Blessings to you. And may you keep going from strength to strength.
I'll do my best, God willing.
And we thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Legends.